On March 3, 2025, just after lunch on a Tuesday, a woman pulled into my bay driving a white SUV with 4 warning lights glowing across the dashboard like a Christmas display. She had driven 30 minutes from the dealership where she had just been handed a repair estimate. The paper had 3 items on it: a sensor replacement, a software reflash, and a diagnostic fee. Total $1,847. She sat in the waiting room for 2 hours while they scanned the car, wrote up the estimate, and told her she needed to leave it overnight. She drove straight to me instead. I asked her 2 questions. When did the lights come on? That morning. Had anything changed recently? She paused. Her husband had replaced the battery 2 weeks ago. I nodded, and I told her to give me 20 minutes. 18 minutes later, every light was gone. The car drove out of my bay, completely clean. She paid nothing. She stood next to me and stared at the dashboard as if she were waiting for the lights to come back. They did not. That moment is why this video exists. What happened to her happens every single day, in every city, in every country where modern cars are driven. And the people charging $1,800 to fix it are not always lying. Sometimes they genuinely do not start with the simplest solution first. Sometimes the system rewards complexity over clarity, and the person who pays the price is always the driver. Today, I am walking you through the hard reset procedures that fix the majority of warning light situations in modern vehicles. These are legitimate procedures. These are free procedures. The kind that engineers built into these systems specifically so technicians could clear corrupted data and restore normal operation. Procedures that take minutes and cost nothing except the time to understand them. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what triggers false error codes, why dealerships rarely start here, which reset methods to use and in what order, and how to tell the difference between a data problem and a real mechanical failure. Because that distinction is everything. Let me start with something most drivers never hear explained clearly. Your car is not one machine. It is a network of computers that communicate with each other thousands of times per second. Each module has its own processor, its own memory, and its own decision-making logic. The engine control module, the transmission control module, the body control module, the anti-lock brake module, and the airbag module, they all run independently, and they share data constantly. That architecture is what makes modern cars so reliable, so efficient, and so capable. It is also what makes them so vulnerable to a specific kind of failure that has nothing to do with broken parts. When voltage drops suddenly, modules do not simply pause. They keep operating, but they may write bad data during that instability. Corrupted values get stored in adaptive memory. Reference baselines shift. The system does not know it received bad information. It trusts what it recorded and begins making decisions based on data that no longer reflects reality. A battery replacement is the most common trigger because voltage behaves erratically during the swap. One moment there is 12 volts, then there is 0, then there is 14 volts from the alternator. Modules that were mid-cycle when power dropped may have saved partial calibration values. The car can start behaving strangely with no mechanical cause. Battery swaps are only one trigger. Think about what else disrupts voltage in a modern car. Jump starts, alternator fluctuations, a dying battery that browns out repeatedly over weeks before it fully fails, accessories drawing too much current, or a corroded ground connection that introduces resistance into the circuit. Each of these events can corrupt module memory. Each of them can trigger warning lights that look catastrophic on a scan tool, but disappear completely once the data is cleared and the system relearns from scratch. There is also the problem of learned adaptation. Modern vehicle modules do not simply execute fixed programming. They learn. The transmission control module observes your driving patterns over thousands of miles and adjusts shift timing, pressure, and engagement behavior to match. The engine control module builds long-term fuel trim corrections based on what the oxygen sensors have been reporting. The idle air control system learns the minimum airflow required to maintain a stable idle under various temperatures and load conditions. Over time, these learned corrections stack, and small inaccuracies compound. A sensor that was slightly off for 6 months has already influenced thousands of stored calibration values. Even after that sensor is replaced, the module keeps compensating for the old problem until something forces a relearn. This is why replacing parts alone often fails to fix symptoms. The hardware is new, but the logic is still running on corrupted history. And then there is the issue of cascading faults. Modern modules communicate over a shared data network. When one module reports an error, other modules receive that signal and may generate their own fault codes in response. A single sensor malfunction can produce 4 or 5 warning lights simultaneously because every module downstream that relies on that sensor's data throws a related code. A scan tool reads all 5 codes. An inexperienced technician sees 5 problems. An experienced technician recognizes the pattern and traces everything back to one corrupted input. A hard reset clears all 5 codes. The root cause is addressed, and the secondary faults never return because they were never real in the first place. This is the environment that makes a $0 hard reset so powerful, not because it is a trick, not because it hacks the system, but because corrupted data is genuinely the most common cause of warning lights in modern vehicles, and clearing that data is the single most logical first step in any diagnostic process. Now let me walk you through the exact procedures I use, starting with the most complete and moving toward the most targeted. The full system hard reset is the one that covers the most ground. This is what cleared every light on that woman's SUV in under 20 minutes. You disconnect the negative battery terminal first, then the positive terminal. Use a wrench, not your hand. Once both cables are off, you need to drain residual voltage from the system. Capacitors inside modules hold charge even after the battery is disconnected. If you simply reconnect after 30 seconds, some modules never fully reset. Press and hold the brake pedal for 30 to 45 seconds. The brake pedal activates circuits that draw down stored voltage throughout the system. Then leave the car completely disconnected for a minimum of 15 minutes. 30 minutes is better. An hour is ideal if you have the time. This extended wait allows all module memory to fully clear, not just clear the surface-level fault codes, but actually wipe the adaptive learning tables that have been storing corrupted values. When you reconnect, connect the positive terminal first, then the negative, and the car starts fresh. Every module initializes from the factory baseline. Fuel trims reset to 0. Transmission shift tables clear. Idle control relearns. The system will run slightly differently for the first 50 to 100 miles while it relearns your driving patterns, but that relearn phase is healthy. It is the system building accurate data instead of operating on corrupted data. The second procedure is the targeted module reset using fuses. This is more surgical. Instead of rebooting the entire system, you isolate one specific module and force only that module to reinitialize. This matters because sometimes you do not want to clear everything. Maybe your transmission is perfectly calibrated, but your infotainment system is frozen. Pulling the full battery reset wipes both. A fuse reset lets you target just the infotainment module, clear its corrupted memory, and leave the transmission adaptation intact. Your owner's manual contains a fuse diagram. If you lost the manual, the fuse box lid usually has a diagram printed inside, and the same information is available online for every production vehicle. Identify the fuse for the module you want to reset. Turn the key off, then pull that fuse. Leave it out for at least 10 minutes. Reinstall the fuse and start the car. That module alone reinitializes while everything else stays calibrated. This procedure is especially useful for body control module issues, infotainment glitches, backup camera failures, climate control faults, and transmission control problems following fluid service. Procedure 3 is the OBD2 scan tool clear. This is the one most people know about, and it is also the most misunderstood. Plugging in a scan tool and clearing codes does not perform a hard reset. It clears the fault code memory, but it does not wipe adaptive learning tables. The module still remembers everything it has learned. If the underlying data is corrupted, the warning light usually returns within 1 to 2 drive cycles because the module is still operating on bad calibration values and immediately redetects the same fault. The scan tool clear is useful as a confirmation step after a full reset, not as a replacement for one. Use it to verify that codes do not return after the system has been given a clean relearn. If you clear codes and they come back within 20 miles, a deeper reset or a real mechanical fault is involved. Now here is the part that separates the drivers who save money from the drivers who keep spending it. After any reset, the relearn phase determines whether the fix holds. The car needs calm, normal driving conditions to build an accurate baseline. On the first restart after a full reset, let the engine idle for 5 to 7 minutes without touching the throttle. This allows idle air control to relearn the minimum throttle position. Then drive gently. Use light throttle, smooth acceleration, and consistent cruising speeds. Allow the engine to reach full operating temperature before any spirited driving. If you restart the car and immediately floor it to the highway, the ECU writes aggressive fuel trim corrections into fresh memory during the most critical learning window. That aggressive calibration becomes the new corrupted baseline. The reset worked, but the relearn undid it. Patience in the first 30 miles after a reset is not optional. It is the difference between a fix that holds and a fix that unravels. There are specific situations that almost always respond to a hard reset. Transmission shudder, harsh shifting, or incorrect gear selection following a battery change or fluid service. Multiple warning lights appearing simultaneously with no single obvious cause. Idle instability after cleaning the throttle body or replacing the mass airflow sensor. Air conditioning behavior changes after electrical work. Fuel economy drops following any maintenance procedure. Random electrical faults in lighting, door locks, or windows. ABS or traction control lights appearing after brake work. Check engine lights generated by multiple codes that all trace back to one sensor. None of these require parts. None of them require expensive diagnostic time. They require the reset procedures I just described, performed in the correct order, followed by a patient relearn. But I also want to be direct with you about what resets will not fix. A reset is not a repair. If a wheel speed sensor is physically damaged, the ABS light will return within 1 drive cycle. If an oxygen sensor has failed completely, the fuel trim codes will return immediately because the sensor is dead, not confused. If there is a mechanical fault inside the transmission, clearing adaptive memory can actually make the car feel temporarily worse before the module relearns around the damage. The test is simple and reliable. Perform the reset. Drive for 1 full drive cycle. If the warning light does not return, the problem was data. If it returns immediately or within a few miles, the problem is hardware and needs genuine diagnosis. You have lost nothing by starting with the reset. You have spent nothing. And you have either fixed the problem completely or confirmed that real work is required. That is a better starting position than any other diagnostic approach. The reason dealerships rarely start here is not complicated. A hard reset produces a labor entry of $0. There is no part number. There is no warranty claim. There is no upsell opportunity. A reset takes a technician 12 minutes, and in a flat-rate shop, that technician is paid by the job, not the hour. A 12-minute fix that clears a warning light generates less revenue than a diagnostic scan alone. The system is not designed around the fastest solution. It is designed around the most billable solution. This is not a conspiracy. It is an incentive structure, and understanding it changes how you approach every repair estimate you ever receive. Before you hand over your keys for a warning light situation, ask one question. Has a full hard reset been performed? Not a code clear, not a scan. Ask for a full battery disconnect reset with a minimum 15-minute drain. If the answer is no, you now know where to start and you know how to do it yourself. The most expensive repair in a modern car is often the one performed before the simplest solution is tried. Your car is a computer network. Computer networks develop data problems. Data problems are solved with resets, not with parts. And now you know exactly how to do it. If this changed the way you think about warning lights, hit like so more drivers see it before they sign a repair estimate. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns that give you clarity instead of confusion. And leave a comment below with the most expensive problem a reset ever fixed for you. Those stories matter more than you know.